I would like to conclude with taking only a brief look at the potential future work that we have identified. So talking a little also about the consequences for the future. And in the paper you will find various suggestions, many of which are also already implemented by the industry or by other institutions. So one point that we suggest, for example, is the development of standards and norms. And definitely I'm not interested in seeing any lengthy standards here, but I really believe that it's very fundamental to have a common vocabulary as we further develop this topic. So a common vocabulary, for example, to classify those cyber-related events. Then clearly also an important topic is the establishment of anonymized data pools. And as I said, this is something which is now being implemented, for example, by the Chief Risk Officer Forum, and also others are working on those cyber pools. And then, of course, if we look here, conduct more scenario analysis, especially on those extreme events, because maybe we expect to have extreme events which are not covered in the historical data. And for this, it's very important also to continue the research on those scenario analysis. If we look at what the government should do also here to prevent cyber risk and to support cyber insurance, so one important element, I believe, is to introduce reporting requirements. Of course, this is a big intervention if you consider this from a liberal point of view, but I believe that the experiences in the US have shown that reporting requirements in some way make sense, and so I look forward to also seeing such reporting requirements in other countries. And of course, also the government has to provide some support as we want to develop cyber databases, because also here the competition authorities might be a little critical as insurance companies want to pool data. So they also want to talk about this. And maybe last point to be mentioned here, consider public-private partnerships. So also the government have interest in cyber risk management, especially as it comes to the more extreme scenarios, because it really affects the economic well-being of individuals and companies in a country. So I believe that public-private partnerships could be an interesting topic also for the more extreme scenarios. And this brings me to my last slide. I said that I believe that also more research from the academic side is needed on this topic, and here we provide a little structured review, again structured a little into the micro and the macro perspectives where we see potential important topics. So maybe one question that I mentioned here that we are currently also working on is how much capital is needed to cover cyber risks. And if you just look at the new Solvency II standards, of course cyber risk is not really covered in those standards, right? So one question could be how much capital do you need for cyber risk under Solvency II, and is this an appropriate way of representing such type of risk? And maybe last point that I want to mention here, because I believe it's very relevant. Of course, this is a little critical also for the industry, but what about the potential systemic risks that might arise from cyber risk underwriting? So do insurance companies become systemically more risky as they develop those cyber portfolios and maybe then also accumulate risks in extreme scenarios?